Today we're reviewing...
Pups Make a Splash!
Wow, going right back to the start.
Thanks, Ryder and Zuma. And you too, Sky.
How about the belly? How about the belly?
And you too, Rocky.
Even all these years later, this scene is in the 99th percentile for cute moments. Beyond just being cute, though, it's a characterful scene, showing gratitude, which we should always see.
Rocky! Hi, Katie. Is my bath ready?
There are quite a few clunky or dubious things about this opening, but in many ways it's a superb tone setter. We get introduced to Rubble, Rocky, and Sky, and the focus is on key personality traits right away. And it's very upfront about being very cute.
Zuma, I'll need you and your hovercraft to help me pull the boat off the rocks.
Let's dive in!
Posterity will remember our boy Zuma was the first one called to action. And look at his cool kit. It would be insane if this just didn't resonate with kids and they just didn't buy his toys or something. Also, underwater scenes looked a lot better than I remembered.
To the lookout!
Ryder's calling! Gotta go!
As really the main gag of the segment, this bit with the bath is fun and silly. It's interesting to see how they're doing their best bringing 2D animation ideas to a 3D environment. And it's just a very satisfying mini plot to have Rocky not want to have a bath, Callie being mean to force him, and then her facing karmic retribution. Classic stuff.
Whoa! Sorry. Took that last turn a little too fast.
And so began the tradition of the next decade and more. Before it was an obligation, it was a sweet and characterful moment. They quite often had the pups looking a bit too genuinely angry, like Zuma here though. But we learn a lot about characters and relationships from these little moments. Plus, Gage Monroe's voice was so good for Marshall.
Watch where you're flying! We're over the world's biggest bathtub, and I'm trying to stay dry!
Generally, they just found such a good cast of kid voice actors. It's honestly just something I think Canada does the best in the English-speaking world. Though, Australia's proving superb at it too.
Why is everything trying to get me wet today? Tickle spot, tickle spot!
Absurdly cute performance from Stuart Ralston. Adorable final good pups play scenes that we don't really get anymore. Cute. These two had a rival dynamic that was always fun, but didn't show up nearly enough over the decade plus of episodes to come.
Hey, the boat's off the rocks!
I kind of forgot how cute it is that Emily Thorne, then credited differently, couldn't pronounce words starting with R.
I'm stuck.
Leave it to us, Captain. Zuma and I can get you free.
Of course, such stories are limited, but it's really nice how uncomplicated missions were back at the beginning. The captain ran aground, so we need to help him. Keeping it that simple means there's room for, character writing.
Is there anything heavy you don't need on board? The boat will float higher if it's lighter.
Ryder doesn't show much personality in this segment, or season, but I kind of like that one of the only things we learn about him is that he understands buoyancy and Archimedes' principle.
I don't see any rocks out towards Seal Island. Just avoid that big rock straight ahead and you'll get the flounder out no problem.
Got it.
It was nice when Sky was providing reconnaissance and information too. These days I'm sure she'd be airlifting the captain out and probably lifting the whole flounder while she's at it. Then something would break loose and go zooming across the bay out of control for some reason. There was a better balance between comfy and overstimulating at the start, even if this is still not, Little Bear levels of chill. Moments of affection we rarely get anymore. Plus, that was an excellent goblin noise from Sky.
If I can't get free, the flounder will end up in the bottom of the bay.
We have to help.
Captain Turbot
We
needs
have
us.
to save the flounder.
Ooh.
What's a bay?
At this stage, I think it's been pretty much forgotten by fandom, but I think of this moment every time I think of this segment. Marshall's initial characterization was going to be complete idiot. I'm glad this vanished fast.
Double on the double!
Now Rocky's bath. Has anybody seen him? Oh, Rocky!
Right at the beginning here, there was a definite Dora the Explorer vibe. A kind of weird urging for the audience to be involved that I don't like. Also, it's pretty clear they only have Rubble as the skateboarder because he most clearly has a helmet, so they won't have to make a fresh asset. Though I guess Zuma would have worked, and there was a famous skateboarding bulldog back then called Tillman, so maybe they were going more for a reference. He has the worst O mouth shape though. Ugh.
Thanks, Katie.
Our introduction to Sky, the one girl on the team, is having her do the most stereotypical possible girly stuff.
I'm caught on some rocks and the tide's going out. If I can't get free, the flounder will end up in the bottom of the bay.
It almost seems like Captain Turbo's speech quirk was made up on the fly because his first few lines were coincidentally alliterative. Almost. I do, of course, get how scripts go through numerous revisions.
I found some metal we can use to stop the leak until Captain Turbot gets it back to dock.
I know it's like how you're technically meant to animate, and I get that this is 2013 TV animation, but I really don't like this jerky, keyframe-based animation where each movement has to stop and start definitively.
There you are. Come on. Now, where did he go?
I think this is actually quite confusing for little kids. She walked directly towards Rocky and still lost sight of him. They kinda try to show she closed her eyes, but it still seems more like she's play acting. But no, she genuinely lost sight of Rocky while walking towards him. It doesn't seem like visuals and intentions quite match.
Help, 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 I'm sinking, help! Calm down, Turbot, calm down, it's all right. Take a deep breath. I'm good.
While I said good things about the slower pace back then, this sort of thing goes on way too long and isn't very funny. The first of many times fixing something is just hand-waved. Sure, just bolt a flat piece of metal to the hull on 4 corners? They could at least show Captain Turbot bailing or pumping the water out, and saying it'll at least last until the dock where he can get a proper seal on it or something.
Ready for action, riders, sir!
More than the PAW Patrol not being in Chase's signature line here yet, what's jarring is there's no animation for exiting the elevator, and they all just stand there. Also, crazily, given where this show ends up, Chase and Marshall do pretty much nothing this segment.
Why me?
Callie, that's disgusting. Don't teach kids that. At least Rocky is adorable throughout. Pups Make a Splash, which indeed they did, is Season 1, Episode 1, Segment A. The very beginning, though in fact the US aired several episodes before this was first broadcast in Canada in August 2013. It's also the only episode written by Scott Kraft, who really set up what PAW Patrol would be in the show Bible, including the defining formula. This segment is, quite suitably, quintessential early PAW Patrol, setting the template for many years. It had the structure, but it also had character-based comedy centered on Rocky, and neatly sketched a lot of personalities. It also had plentiful cuteness. Still, it also had some sidelined pups, dubious engineering, and seemed like Kraft wanted to set Marshall up as totally brainless. Overall, 8 out of 10. Where it all began, but in many ways unremarkable. And really, that's by design. No grand setup episode or origin story, straight in with a typical segment that can be rerun anytime, indefinitely. Some early season shakiness, but more than enough cuteness and fun to make up for it. Alright, it was pretty fun to revisit the very first segment here. Though as I said earlier, not actually the very first segment to be aired anywhere in the world, but still, Season 1, Episode 1, Segment A. It's kind of funny that it almost seems to be setting up Rocky and Zuma as the stars of the show, which, as we know, isn't exactly how things unfolded, even though the two of them will always be pups that I love a whole lot. Alright, and that's it for today. See you guys again next time.